Welcome, welcome, welcome to the Game Changer podcast. It is Wednesday. Ladies, how are you feeling?
I'm feeling fabulous. How about you?
I'm feeling wonderful, amazing.
Good. Well, my name is Natalie Michon. We're about to kick this off into my lovely co-host,
Phoenix Gray. And we have a special guest with us today.
Whoop, whoop. Yes, I'm international saxophonist Kimberlye McKinney.
That's right.
She said it all sexy and stuff. She
Yes.
was like, and then she said, I'm international.
Okay.
That means she's been out of these 50 states, so that could be like Mexico, is right?
Absolutely.
And where else have you been?
Ooh, girl, that's for another topic.
Well, let's make sure that we let our audience know exactly what else you do, right? So you're a songwriter, you're a musician, you're a producer, you're a businesswoman, mom of 4. I mean, did I leave anything out?
Ooh, traitor.
Trader. Where do you find the time, honey? And we're going to talk about all that. We're going to get into the sauce because right now you're doing so well. I see you all over the place. I see your face popping up on different venues and different programs, social media, right? So you're doing your thing. I'm so proud of you, sis.
Thank you. Thank you.
Absolutely. So I think what a lot of people don't know, right? They see all the glamour, they see all the success that they obviously know that you're having. They don't know the behind the scenes, what you had to do to get here. So we're going to dive into that. That's our topic for today, actually.
Yeah, absolutely. Our topic is overcoming just different obstacles. And so even as entrepreneurs, as mothers, right, or even as employees, we're constantly overcoming obstacles. And so I'm excited about today because there are some obstacles. Let me tell you something. I should be like a hurdler. I could have been a hurdler in my former life, the way I done jumped some of them obstacles. But let's dive on in. I'm ready. But first, let me kind of back up and tell you. So with Game Changer, this is like our community of strong women that are changing the game. But the purpose is that so many women out here are just trying to get the bag, right? And that's kind of all of this, like, get the bag. Like, we had a whole season of that's all I saw on social media was get the bag. But then all of these women are out here getting the bag, but then what I noticed is that other things, you can't be a public success and a private failure. And so with women out here getting the bag, there's marriages suffering, there's financial situations, there
Kids
are kids being neglected. And so what Game Changer is, let's focus on, and then like faith, for me, it's like God tapped me on my shoulder real strong. Matter of fact, I think he yanked me all up in my naps and was like,
Girl,
he was like, girl, let me tell you where all
heard
of
that
this
word in
come
so
from.
long.
And so, now I got some naps back here.
No, you don't. She got that pretty hair.
But I'm saying, but I went through a dark season of that. And I lost sight of God, and out here I can earn millions of dollars in my business, but then like I said, public success, but a private failure. And so when the concept was laid in my spirit of let's try to find that balance. Balance is like, that's elusive. That's a hard word to say. So harmony, is kind of what we kind of focus on, is the word harmony, and how all of these things can work together. So you're invited here because you have so many things that are coming at you, right? Coming to you because you're in a growth season. But then we're going to talk about how we're able to successfully move in this growth season while we still had obstacles
That's right.
to overcome.
And being really transparent about that, because we are an age of social media where all you see is the bling. All you
The
see
optics.
is right, the
Yeah,
optics.
the optics all day
Right,
long.
but people don't understand that there's so many layers to it. There's so many things that it takes for you to get to a certain level of success, right? And so that's what this is about. This is about talking about what some of those challenges have been, especially as a black woman, a black entrepreneur, right? And some of the struggles that we've had to go through in order to get where we are. So we're super excited to have you here with us today.
I'm excited.
So tell us how you actually got to a point where you said, you know what, I wanted to make some changes, because you started out your professional life in corporate, right? So how did you make that switch? What made you make that decision to say, you know what, it's time for me to branch out on my own?
Okay, so I would say, honestly, I'm going to go back. It really, in my spirit, it was planted in my spirit probably in my 20s. And I just felt like, okay, I knew that at some point, corporate wasn't really for me. We got to do what we got to do in order to make sure that we have a livelihood. So we have to pay bills. Sometimes we have to do things that we may not necessarily want to do. But at some point, your spirit is going to continue to call to you, because that's your purpose. In some cases, a lot of people don't realize they're already working in their purpose. They just don't know it. So say, for instance, if you do have a job or a corporate job, but you're doing some of the things that you enjoy, you're kind of already working in your purpose. You just haven't manifested it yet. So I found early in my early 20s, okay, this is, at some point, I'm looking at our counterparts, and I'm seeing how they're living their life. They're involved in financial, they know more about financial wealth. And here it is, I'm looking at my people, and we're not having the knowledge. We don't have the knowledge. Nobody's showing us. Nobody's sharing with us. So as a 24, 25-year-old, 26-year-old, I bought my first home at that age, my first one. I had my second home by the age I was 30. So my mind was already set on longevity. Like, at some point, we gotta get to where our counterparts are doing. And from that, trust me, I did the life insurance policies to move myself forward. And sometimes when you move yourself forward, some things you take that may take you a step back. So those steps backs were getting involved with people that didn't have the same type of mind frame that I did. Gentlemen, okay, men, I ain't gonna say gentlemen, but men, that they were for the moment. They wasn't looking at long term. So a lot of times, being with that person, I lost a lot. So I lost my house. I lost things, things that I was building longevity, trying to build the wealth, trying to build a generation of wealth for my kids. And here it is, you thinking that you're getting with someone that may have the same mind frame, but they're not thinking about that. They're looking at your resources, what you already doing, what you have done, and trying to attach themselves to that. And at some point, I lost a lot. So to answer that question, those are some hurdles that, sometimes, unfortunately, we have to come through, but it's not the end of the world, because, God said it's 1,000 years is like a day to him.
Right.
And at some point, we got to say, okay, God, what is my purpose? Like, now I want to live, I want to move in purpose. And that means whatever my purpose is, whatever you have me here, let me move in that. And at some point, music was a part of that, because I remember when I was in college, and I go back further than that, I was in North Carolina at Shaw University, and I went to a revival with Shirley Caesar, and they called people up to the altar, and they asked individuals, what is it that you want in your life? Here I am, I'm maybe 20 years, 21 years old, and I said I want to be an international saxophonist. I didn't know what that was I didn't know how that was gonna plan out for me along the years.
So had you been playing the saxophone at that point? Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
I started off I switched to the saxophone when I was 11 years old, but the point is I had already spoke out my purpose 20 years prior, not knowing how things were gonna shift for me to this point now. So a lot of times we might say things out of our mouth, and years later, because again, God may not throw everything to you at one time. It may be 10, 20 years further down the line that your purpose that he really fully, he'll remind you of what you said, and then here it is, you 20 something years later working it again. 1,000 years is a day for him.
So one thing is that I love is that I feel like if you can, I know that if you can see it, then it's something that you can obtain.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? And so that's powerful because, you know, and it, like you said, it may not come in your timing of when you want it to come. There's things that I'm doing now that I saw years ago. There's places that I see where I'm going to be, you know, in a few years, but I'm like, all I gotta do, if my mind can see it, all I gotta do is put my game plan and my action plan together to guide my steps unto it, right? Mm-hmm. And so that's powerful. One thing that you said is when you were talking about relationships, I know even within obstacles, have you ever seen somebody like just have a hard life? Like, it's just hard. Every time you see them, it's kind of like the same things are going on and the same things that are happening. And then I feel like at some point, it's got to be you to shift the decision that you keep making the same decision. Mm-hmm. And what you said reminded me of that when going back to what you said about the relationships. You have to really be careful about who's in close proximity to you. Mm-hmm. I'm very careful now. Mm-hmm. At some point, I was reckless with it. Mm-hmm. I was like, you smile, you say nice things. Oh, okay, we're friends. No, ma'am. Phoenix knows. It's like, oh no, I'm sorry, I had to cut those strings. Mm-hmm. But I think that's a big thing in overcoming some obstacles is like paying attention who has your personal space, right?
Yes. Yeah, so when we think about obstacles, sometimes we don't equate that to people. We equate that to circumstances, things that are going on in your life, your job, your money situation, right? Maybe even like a natural disaster, those types of obstacles. Mm-hmm. But we forget sometimes that obstacles can come in the frame of a person, right? Sometimes even their people spirit. That are very close to you, right? And it's a little bit harder, I think, to recognize that when you're in the midst of that situation because you're so emotionally entangled. I think that there's a level of maturity and discernment that comes with being able to recognize, wait a minute, right? There's something going on here that it's not this, right? It always seems to come back to a specific person or maybe a group of individuals that are kind of pulling you or holding you back or not giving you the opportunity to be able to, right, walk the path that you see yourself on. So that I think that's huge.
And you know, in obstacles, this is the thing, you're the common denominator. You know what I mean? You're the common denominator of your successes, and you're the common denominator of your obstacles. So if you constantly and continually keep facing, especially the same obstacles, it's different when you have life situations like deaths coming back to back to back. You know what I mean? Like
That's
those are
something
some
that's
things that's
uncontrollable, yeah.
uncontrollable. But if there's control, like financial situations, relationships, men, you know, your relationship with your children, those are some things like you're right there in the core. That's your relationship with God. You are the common denominator of all of those things. And that's something, and it's hardest to look at yourself in the mirror and say that.
Absolutely.
So going, I know you mentioned that that was part of your struggle when you were younger in your 20s. Would you say that that's been the biggest obstacle in your journey or just one of?
I would say that was probably one of the biggest because sometimes people don't realize certain people carry certain spirits that will take you back, that will set you back 10 to 15 years. It'll set you back 10. God was probably trying to get you somewhere 10 to 15 years prior to, and you can sometimes connect with someone that has a spirit that will set you back 10 to 15 years, you know, backwards. And I think that, and I'm just going to be honest and transparent. I
Let's
think
be honest and
that
transparent.
has a lot to do with, because you know, we're beautiful women I'm in my 40s now, and I feel like had I not did those connections, I probably in my career musically I probably would have been further along than where I am now. So one thing I learned about that situation is sometimes you can, a certain person may carry a certain kind of spirit, and sometimes that spirit can jump on you, and then you're wondering why. Okay, I wasn't raised like this. I wasn't brought up like this. But why am I taking on the same type of actions as this person that I'm with? I was in a marriage, and I was a little bit older than that person, and I noticed that when I stepped out of the, like, he grew up in a very dysfunctional family, and some of that same spirit kind of caused me to act dysfunctional in the same way, although I wasn't brought up in it. But I had to be very, very careful when God had to remind me of some things. He brought back some pictures, some visual pictures for me to see. Okay, this is kind of where your spirit was connecting, was taking on this type of spirit, and it was causing you to do and act in certain ways like this person when you wasn't even raised like that. So, yeah. So, I mean, thank God for forgiveness. Thank God for, you know, who God is. And really, when I was telling a girlfriend, one of my sorority sisters today, when you see a person, the first thing that they give you, you have to take it at face value. And you cannot have no expectations. Like you think that person, no, you have to weigh that thing out and see them in other elements in their life before you decide that you want to attach yourself. Because then you get involved with somebody, you're like, why am I feeling depressed all the time? Why do I feel drained all the time? Why? It's because that person's spirit has connected with your spirit. And here it is, you're not even a depressed person, but now you're having depressed feelings and things of that nature. So
That's how I was. I remember, you know, I had certain things attached to me, and I remember my sister was like, Natalie, I'm confused because because I'm reflecting the spirit that attached to me from somewhere else. And she was like, that's not who you are. I was just like angry. You know what I mean? I'm cussing. I mean, I cuss anyway.
and that person was probably doing all of that.
Right. But it attached to me. And so then, and sometimes that's the hardest decision that you have to make. When it's people close to you and you love them, but it's like,
You gotta let it go.
I can't let you
Yeah.
right here.
Because that same thing will set you back. Whatever you're trying to get to, it's going to set you back 5 to 10 years. I look at stuff spiritually now. Certain things, it'll set you back 5 to 10 years, and you're not even, and you really don't even notice.
Don't even know. Yeah. Yeah.
So I think that that's important. I want to dive into that a little bit further because you said quite a bit just in the last few minutes in terms of, what was going on during your early adult life. Want to hear like what kind of impact that had. You know what I mean? Like what specifically were those challenges or obstacles that came about as a result of whether it's the relationship or whatever else might have been going on during that time?
What made me really make the change is one day, this is after I lost custody of my children. Oh, I got a story. I'm telling you, I got a story. I lost custody of my children, and I was in my bedroom, and the Spirit just told me to go. I went to maybe like a Walmart or some type of costume shop, because it was around Halloween. It was probably maybe about close to a month of me losing custody of my kids. And I went and I saw this.
That must have been, I mean, I know you're
traumatizing.
Yeah, that must have been devastating. I can't even imagine.
Traumatizing.
I can't even.
I went to the store. I saw this bride dress with the bridegroom headband, like a tiara that said bride. And I bought it. I went in my room because I knew it was a lot of things that was off. And the Lord was telling me what was sequence of events that was getting ready to happen. I went and I got this dress. I put it on. I put some worship music on, and I started wearing this. It was a bride gown, like a costume bride gown. So if you go to a Halloween party and you dressed up,
Right.
I found a bridegroom. The Lord said, pick this up. Get on your knees and pray, because you are the bridegroom. You are the bride to me.
Right.
Because he knew what was getting ready to take place after this point. So I bought it. I did exactly what I did. I laid on my face prostrate. And I noticed, everybody may not be Christian or whatever, but I'm telling you what.
Yeah, this is your walk.
What was given to me to do. I put that dress on. I put the bridegroom dress on. I cried, and I just prayed and cried out to the Lord. From a series of that, basically, I think he was just preparing me for what was getting ready to happen next, because what was getting ready to happen next was a series of events that it was something out of a movie. So what I did was I listened to a lot of Marvin Sapp. Favorite song was Thirsty, Worshiping Me, and that kind of helped me to develop, to reconnect me to who I was, who I am. And I started listening to that, and I started building my confidence and started building my strength. And eventually, we were not together, but I still had to go through a lot of legalities, courts, and all that kind of stuff. So from that point, got rid of that. Lost everything. I lost my homes. I didn't have no kids. I lost my jobs. I had nothing. And my dad said, you need a car. Like my spouse had took everything. You need a car. On our way to come back to Atlanta, the Lord said, Atlanta is where you're going to be. It's like, okay. Then he told me what car I was going to get. So it was almost like he was giving me the things as my rebuilding process. It wasn't going to be the brand new vehicle, but it was so crazy. When we walked to the dealership, I looked at some cars, and man, that's not what I really want. Next thing you know, they pulled up, because God said vehicle was going to be silver. pulled up. Oh, they said, we just got a silver van that just pulled up that the people just traded out.
Wow.
That was my car. So we got that. From that point, it's just things kind of progressed, but it took time. It took some time for me to rebuild myself. From there, I was able to get a job, started working with Home Depot, corporate, started working there, and it was another hurdle. I was staying with my dad, and then something happened with that. Like, I got a story about that. And I had to go to living on the streets of Atlanta, living in my van.
Wait, what happened there? So you're working.
I was working.
You had a
but
plate?
I was working part-time, so it wasn't
Okay.
like I was still kind of gigging, doing music, but I was still working part-time.
Okay.
Because, again, this is I came from nothing. I lost everything.
Yeah.
So I had to kind of rebuild that up. So I had a part-time job working at Home Depot, the store downtown, and I worked there, and I stayed with my dad, and then a situation happened with that where his wife didn't want me to stay with him. She was like, I don't want her here another day. And it's like, okay, you kick a person while they're down. Like, I've just lost everything. And I hadn't not disrespected you. Thank you for, allowing me to stay in your home. And that broke my dad's heart. And I was like, I'm gonna tell you, I didn't take it very well because I'm just listen. We just gonna be because we're good now. Me and my stepmom, we're good now, but it was so hurtful because I was already going through so many things, and not knowing what was gonna happen because I was still at that time like. I know this is all in bits and pieces, but at that time, I was still facing a 1 to 10 year prison sentence. So I was still going back to court. Let me tell you, I have a story.
And I want to pause there because there's a lot of women that could probably relate to what you're sharing, maybe not to the capacity, right? And I think sometimes it helps to put things in perspective when you're going through certain hurdles because you never know what somebody else is going through and what they're dealing with, right? When you look at people face to face, you just don't know what's going on behind the screen.
Because I wouldn't be able to tell.
Right, looking at
no,
her.
ma'am.
Looking at you
And she
today,
went
she
through
said,
that.
no, ma'am.
Oh, no, ma'am.
To lose everything, your kids, your house, your car,
Sleeping in the streets of Atlanta, playing the saxophone on 14th Street and Peachtree
Wow.
to get gas money to still go and visit and see my sons. Like, I'm telling you, I got a whole, we writing.
And then one thing I want to make sure, and you may know this, is never walk in the shame of your story because your story can free so many people.
Oh, I'm not ashamed. I don't have a problem with talking
Because
about it.
because I was like, shoot, I'm about to be like, y'all bring some coffee because we about to have this whole story laid out. But no, I mean, honored that you're here, even to share that part, because I definitely want to have you come back, and because it'll bring so much value to the community just by helping women go from here to here. And I know kind of we're close to the end of this segment, but if you could leave something with our community of game changers and let them know, like, in the midst of an obstacle, what would you, like, what kind of really kind of got you through that says no more?
First of all, really truly knowing who I was, who I am, really who I am. Like, I knew I was great. And I understand the circumstances of what I had to go through, but I never gave up. I was never promiscuous, so I never like, okay, just because I'm going through this, that I'm going to lower myself and feel sorry for someone and allow somebody to take advantage of me because I'm hurting right now. Got myself up, looked myself in the mirror. I still look good. I asked God to preserve me, and I just continue to push because I knew I'm a force. Like, I'm a force, not saying it in a bad way, but I know I am a force. I'm creative. I know where my mind can take me. I know what the things that I can do, and I had to turn around and forgive those people.
Forgiveness.
It was, oh my God, it was not easy. Not easy. Forgive. I had to forgive all the things that happened to me and say, this is not who I am. I'm going to move forward. God, I'm going to trust you in this process. And although it hurts, I'm still going to trust you. And I think that's a testament to all the things that I've been able to accomplish now, that I'm still accomplishing and I'm still working. I'm not I don't have it all the way put together. I admit that. I'm not going to be somebody that I'm not.
Right.
I'm very, very, I'm just like regular people. But at the same time, I'm not a person for mediocrity.
Right.
Like, a lot of those things taught me about zero tolerance for a lot of things, even if it's not relationship. I don't like zero tolerance for mediocrity for the way business is handled. All that stuff, it taught me to live closely as possible, to live to a spirit of excellence. Carry yourself to a spirit of excellence. You ain't gonna always have, I'm not always put together, but move in a spirit of excellence. Be the best person that you can possibly be. It's an everyday walk.
That's what I tell my kids, that to be kind to people. That's one thing. You heard me, like, I tell them to have a kind heart. You know what I mean? And because I really believe in a lot of what you put out is what you're going to get in return.
Still set boundaries now.
No, you still have to set your boundaries. I learned that. I did a speech on, like, you got to set your boundaries and how to say yes with purpose and no with grace.
Absolutely.
That's my biggest thing, is saying yes with purpose in this season and no with grace. But we have to wrap up this segment right here, and then we're going to come back for our second half of this episode. But so honored for you to be here. I want you to let our listeners and our community know how to contact you, how to follow you, and see what you're doing. We're going to have you come back on here and play a little something.
Yes, okay.
Yes. And then you have an event coming up.
Absolutely. Reach me on Kimberlye McKinney on all social media platforms. So it's spelled KIMBERLYE, McKinney, McKinney. That's Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. You can go to my website, Chemistry Music, KIMISTRYMUSIC.com. You can go to my business, kjjmmedia.com. But I definitely want to talk about the Valentine's show. This is my second annual Valentine's show that I myself and a business partner have been putting together.
I love it. I love it.
It's a lot of work. And I said that, I'm not going to wait on venues to contact me. I'm getting ready to control my own narrative.
Okay.
And I like upscale things. So the Valentine's is upscale. Last year we did it at the 12 downtown. It's sold out.
Nice.
I had my lights camera crew come out and make it a special event. We're doing it again this year, but we're going to be at the 12 Atlantic Station, February the 14th. That's on a Wednesday. I don't always want to box myself into doing things always on the weekend, because Atlanta is a progressive budding city that things happen Monday to Monday. So either you got to get your mind out of, I'm just going to be stuck to this, when you never know. Your next connection can be on a Wednesday versus a Saturday.
That's right.
So come live. I'm going to be playing live show, live band. My girl, Soror, Pretty Tammy, the DJ, she's going to be spinning on the ones and twos before everything gets started. And we may have a special celeb guest that's going to be hosting. I don't want to say his name, but we have been in
You can
talks with him.
whisper it. You
But
can
I'm
tell
telling
me. I
you,
ain't
you've
gonna
seen him.
I ain't gonna tell nobody. Look,
I
But
love
we
it.
just
I
want to
love
do
it.
everything, better and better and better. And I'm telling you, this place holds 300 people, live music. Your food is included in your ticket price. Like, I want everything to be effortless, like
experience.
effortless.
I'm so proud to hear that you're at this juncture now where, you're doing your thing. Obviously, you're living in your purpose and you're making decisions that's going to take you to that next level. And so I know it's got to be rewarding to know that you passed through all those challenges and struggles that you had and to come and be where you are now, putting on your own show. That's
And
amazing.
still scared,
So
hon. I'm
that's
still
right,
scared.
That's right.
in our community, once you subscribe, we will have a worksheet. Part of our worksheet that kind of just helps you navigate through overcoming obstacles. So please make sure that you chime into our community so we can help you with a lot of these things because we're here to be an asset
Absolutely.
and help you
Absolutely.
move forward in this thing of life. But thank you so much. We'll see you in part 2.
Amen. Yes. Thank y'all so much.
Thank you so much. We appreciate you.